Hinderman, here. Pohl.
Here.
Don, Bowden.
Here.
Andrews.
Here.
Proof
Oh.
of
That's first name.
Just Don got a first name, everybody else.
proof of giving public meeting notice, Aaron.
Yes, notices were posted at both sent to the Village of Dickeyville and Cuba City Hall and members of the media on Tuesday, November 6th.
All right, thank you. Item 3 is the consideration of the consent agenda. Are there any items A through F that the board would like pulled for further questions or discussion? Hearing none, would someone move?
I'll move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
White.
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Pohl.
Yes.
Bowden.
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Administrative reports, curriculum report from Mrs. Sitz for 612 English and Language Arts.
Hello. How's everyone tonight?
Good.
Good.
All right. Well, I'm Becky Sitz, and I'm going to be reporting on our curriculum update for 612 English language arts. And a few of our members are here in the audience. I'll introduce one each of that part. Our ELA team members at the middle school, we have Cameo Updike Ames. There. Andrew Nucky, he could not make it. Whitney Casper, I don't think I saw Whitney. And then, and at the high school, Susan Meyer, right there. Kirsten Slatt, right there. Myself, Melissa Gilstrap, and Matthew Hulls. So that's our team that will be reporting on our progress. So we're going to try to make this pretty quick, but wanted to give the board our mission. So this is our English language arts vision statement. Students will become effective communicators who purposefully read, write, speak, and listen in all aspects of their lives. Students will express their ideas through various modes and will engage in a variety of texts and media, leading them to be critical thinkers and productive citizens. So that's kind of our vision for students that are in ELA classes, what we would like to see them be able to do when they leave here, when they graduate. The most exciting part of our ELA, we ordered new resources this year. So that's what we're going to focus on, is showing you one of the new resources that we have, but this is a list of what we, as far as grades, have purchased this year. Grades 6-8 Amplify ELA, which Cameo is going to be showing you a little bit of that in just a minute. Grades 9-10 and Pull Out English uses something called Common Lit 360. Grade 11 uses My Perspectives, which is an American literature resource. And then Workplace Communication, which is a senior class, ordered McGraw-Hill Business Communications. Those are the main resources that we purchased this year, and we're very excited in trying them out and showing you a little bit of what they look like. So we decided as a department that we wanted to show you what I think is the most exciting resource that we had. I wish it was 912 because it's really awesome. So Cameo is going to give a demonstration of a little bit of a sample of what an Amplify ELA lesson looks like, and just walk you through a little bit of what can be done with this great resource and what we're doing, and kind of go from there. So over to you. Thank you.
So I just pulled up the platform. I teach 7th and 8th grade, so I'm just going to show you a quick version of what we have for 8th grade, but this is our landing page. All of these are different units that we can pick and choose from. The complexity is meant to build from the beginning on. So right now, we are focusing on 8C, Science and Science Fiction, which is Frankenstein. It's a graphic novel version of the original text. So it has been challenging, but yet the kids have finally kind of come around to it now that we're almost done. So within each individual unit, it is broken apart into some subunits that address different themes, different issues, different ideas. Sorry, you're fine. You're fine. So the first one deals with reading the book, going through those. There's an essay, kind of some supplemental materials, and then there's an assessment to end the unit. So we focus primarily on reading the book. There's 17, I believe, lessons. The blue marks that you see throughout are called Flex Days. So on those days, we can do anything that we feel the kids are needing. some grammar instruction, some extra writing, different reading strategies. We can pull those in as we need to on those days. So a sample lesson starts off like this. The tabs, this is what the students see too, so it's very fluid between us and the students. The overview gives them an idea of what we're going to do, just the beginning part, and then for the instructor, you can see what you should do to prepare, your objectives, words that are going to be new that you can use and kind of implement, the skills and the standards that we're focusing on, how to differentiate, and then just a little bit about what each activity is going to do, just in case there's any kind of preloading stuff we need to take care of. A list of all the materials are on the side too, so you're able to access those easily. Almost every lesson starts with vocabulary, and they do a vocabulary app, which is a game, and it's tailored to each kid individually. So they're able to go in, play around with the words that they're going to use in the lesson that day and work through them at their own pace, which is nice. It keeps kids accountable in their way to be able to work through it. I'm not going to go through all of these tabs, but across the top, they have things like downloading the materials. So because this is the first lesson, this is where they're going to download all their materials and get it onto the computer, just in case we were to lose internet. They still have access to the text. Then it introduces them to what they're going to do. So across the top, you can see like a whole class, as we're kind of sliding through. So we just work through it. There's different activities to do, discussions that you can have. At the top, this is what I see, but I can close this so that it's exactly what the student sees. When I open it, it gives me a bit of a guide, essentially what we would have in a book, that we don't have to stand up in front with a book. Some discussion pieces, they're able to type right in and then hand in, and then it's easy for us to locate and grade. Going across the top a little bit, one of the ones that they liked in this unit was where they got to look at the family tree of Frankenstein. I'm gonna go right to that tab. But it was interactive, so they were able to look at the different pictures, grab the names, throw them in, hand it in. It makes it feel like they're playing with it a little bit, so I think they enjoy that part. Every class, or every lesson, ends usually with some sort of a wrap-up, which gives them an idea of what's going to come the next day. An exit ticket that will cover kind of the concepts we covered that day with the reading that we focused on. And then the solo is going to be something new, something they haven't seen yet, which will typically be what the lesson the next day is built upon. So they read it. They could also listen to it. It's a version or an option there for students who need it. And then there's different questions that they can answer as they go through. The cool thing that we like about this, the neat thing, super helpful, is that we are able to differentiate right in the program for students. So right here you will see all the students are in the core basic, where we start them all. But if we're noticing someone's having an issue or if somebody is not necessarily challenged enough, we can just take them and slide them. I can be able to do it on here probably, but we can take them and slide them into where they need to go, and it takes effect. The students don't get anything that says you are in this category. The only difference is that maybe they don't have as many questions, or their questions might have sentence starters or different things to help them depending on where they are. And it's really easy to move. So if we think it's going to be a tougher lesson, we can throw them in for one class period and then move them somewhere else the next day. So yeah, that's a really quick version of it. I don't know if you have any questions or anything else you want to see. But that is Amplify for us. It does come with a textbook, a journal, and then a few of the different units do have trade books that come along. So for Frankenstein, we had actual books that the students got to use, and it's a graphic novel, so it's been kind of fun to see that. Any questions?
Thank you, Camille.
Thanks.
I think that's good. Unless the board had any questions
Any
for us.
questions, Ward?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Becky. Special ed, Deb, you're
This past month, I've continued to look at staff observations for educator effectiveness. And today, Pam Tranel and Jesse Donar and I sat down again and looked at our third Friday count and October 1st data counts so that they're accurate when they take our snapshot on December 1st, which is when they determine how many students are in our district and which leads to funding. So it's really important that that data is accurate. And I think every year we've gotten a little better at doing it because it seems every time we look, they'll throw in a new little surprise for us to look at. But the majority of my time since school has started has been devoted to special ed referrals and reevaluations. I averaged the number of initial and reevaluations that we did it over the past 6 years. And that number is, on average, we did 25 initial evaluations and 20 reevaluations throughout the entire school year for the past 6 years. And that's probably consistent with years prior to that too, but that's all the farther I went back. In the first 2 months of this school year, we have processed 22 initial referrals for special education and 19 reevaluations, which is an entire year's worth of referrals in 2 months. And I think it's important to bring this up because I'm not really sure why this is happening. It could be a function of COVID and the circumstances that have surrounded that. We've got students who have spent a third of their life not being able to go out to restaurants or daycares or do things that kids would normally do. So I don't know if it's a function of that or other things, or maybe a combination of things. I'm not really sure, but I know that our parents and we are all concerned about our kids' learning and development and how this is all affecting us. So I kind of wanted to point out some of the things that our district is doing and really has done for quite some time to support kids. And I don't know that everybody realizes that these are things that we're doing in school to support students, and we're really kicking those things in even more so now because we do have some students with more significant needs because of what they've been through the last couple of years. So we continue to implement positive behavioral interventions and supports. That's our PBIS system across the district, teaching expectations and strategies to be successful. We have guidance staff who is available and go into classes and support students. They support us as staff members in enlightening us on strategies and things to look for when students might be, struggling with something. We have what I need time in every grade level across the district. That's what we call win time. And that time is provided so that we look at student assessment data and observations of students and what we know about them and provide what they need. They might need enrichment. They might need some support to close gaps. They might need some social skills instruction. So that's time every day that we offer to students to chip away at those needs and help them to become more successful learners. The district has also provided or supported Title I staff, interventionists, co-teaching, differentiated instruction and interventions, which are all used to address student needs to close those gaps in learning. So I'd really like to thank all of the staff who provide and support these services and the board for supporting us in our initiatives to do things like co-teaching. And I'm very grateful that we have these supports because when I started my career quite some time ago, a lot of these things weren't in place. So I really feel like this district is strong in meeting the needs of students who are struggling. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Deb. Any questions of Deb? Dr. Kraus, the middle and high school reporter.
So we have a lot of fabulous things happening at the middle school and the high school. So I'll just kind of go over some of the highlights over the last month. At the end of October, Ms. Casper and the Middle School Student Council had a Red Ribbon Week. And that is basically to affirm the students' commitment to stay drug-free. And to do that, they had dress-up day every day. And then on Friday, they had a big culmination in the gym where they played I think it's called Minute to Win It, where all of the students sit on the bleachers and a few kids are out front playing games. And it was a lot of fun. And they had a costume contest. So that was a great week at the middle school. On November 1st, Ms. Adler had the annual informational meeting for the junior class in which we had about 40 people that were given information regarding post-secondary schools and the financial aid. November 9th, the entire sophomore class got to tour the Capitol in Madison and also see the Veterans Museum and had a great time. I'd like to thank Mrs. Rollins and Mrs. Budin because this year for the Veterans Day activity, they were able to deliver 16 bouquets of flowers and signs to veterans who live in our district. And because they received more generous donations after that, they're going to be giving out about 9 more for Thanksgiving week. So that was pretty cool. This week, Ms. Adler is working with our high school students on suicide awareness, while Mrs. Shep recently did that with our middle school. And then on Friday, all secondary staff will be receiving QPR training. It's called suicide prevention training. So that will be occurring on Friday. And then finally today, we had a small but mighty team meet to discuss how we can help middle schoolers with topics such as bullying, the social media kind of stuff that's happening out there, and other mental health concerns. So we'll be implementing some new ideas on that in the next coming weeks. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Other business manager report?
So last month, the 21-22 budget was approved by the board. So I'm working on submitting the 21-22 budget to DPI. I also recently certified our annual Medicaid cost report for the 2021 school year. I previously have talked about the Fab Lab grant that the school district received, and we recently we're starting to get that equipment in. So next, the district will work with the vendor to install and get that equipment set up. And we're really excited about this new equipment and the opportunities that it's going to give to our students. DPI is giving their finance reporting portal a facelift. So I'm sitting through lots of webinars to gain knowledge on all the changes. And the main change that's going to happen is now the DPI website is going to talk to our finance system. So I won't have to spend so many hours every fall uploading all of my reports and scrubbing the reports. That information will be sent over on a more regular basis. So it will save time. So I'm looking forward to that. And lastly, I just want to, this week is American Education Week. So I want to thank all of the Cuba City School District staff for the wonderful work they do to make Cuba City what it is.
Thank you, Heather. Any questions? Aaron, the superintendent
Elementary school. Cuba City Elementary School is planning that PBIS boot camp, and we heard Deb talk a little bit about PBIS, just behavioral expectations. Because of the substitute teacher shortage we're experiencing, we had this planned to do one way, and we're going to have to switch and do that virtually. But PBIS boot camp is really reteaching school-wide expectations, like how we all act in the hallway or on the playground, in the cafeteria, in the bathrooms, places that aren't monitored by one person, such as a classroom. The substitute teacher shortage is real, and our staff at all 3 schools has been fantastic in covering for each other when needed. A big thank you goes out to our administrative assistants who put together those puzzles a lot of times in the morning or sometimes later in the day, and to our teachers and staff who are making sure that learning continues because we just are having a hard time getting any substitute teachers in the building. Our staff continues to work at the elementary school on standard-based grading this school year with hopes to implement it next year. Standard-based grading gets rid of the percentage-based A, B, C, D, and F. Generally uses standard-based language. Now there's a lot of variants of this. This is it could be below basic, basic, proficient, or advanced, or any type of variation that's similar to that. On particular standards, so not a subject. So it's not math. It's here are the 8 things that we learned in math, and here's how they're doing in all 8 of those areas. So it's not just a B. It's parents will be able to see how they're doing with each part of that, and that's what they'll be working on Friday also. So that's at the elementary school. District administrator updates. I was going to start with COVID updates, and I believe there might be a couple people here who are also here to talk about COVID. So I want to talk a little bit about our local data. So prior to Monday, October 18th, and that was 29 school days. So for 29 school days, we used our matrix as it was designed, and then we changed, went to mask, and that represented 22 school days. So it's not apples to apples, but it's within a week and a half. So prior to October 18th, we had 34 positive cases, about 1.2 a day. Had 168 students sent home during the quarantine. It would have been more, but about a third of our high school, and about 10% of our middle school, we have proof of vaccination. So that's about a little over 5 per case. 4 of those 168 students came down with COVID during the quarantine timeline without masks. So that's what our local data tells us is, a little over 2% of the kids came down with COVID once they were identified as a close contact. Once we started with masks on Monday, October 18th, we've had 9 positive cases, so a little under half a day. Again, this is 22 school days. 23 students were sent home due to quarantine. 21 of those 23 we had one early elementary class that because of the activities that they were doing, we had to send the entire class home. So the other 8 cases led to 2 total quarantines. So that's where we are. Of those 22 students, 0 have come down with COVID-19 so far. So when we were unmasked, it was about 2%. Now it's 0. And again, some of those cases are recent, so they've got another 10 days. That number could change, but that's what our local data says. So just wanted to give you an update on our local data for COVID. On-site testing in late October, I was contacted by Accelerated Labs. Their technology began to fail due to cold weather, asked if they could be relocated. We don't have a lot of extra space here at the high school. The only space we were able to provide that didn't have contact for kids or wasn't an area kids went to was the referee room. If you know where the athletic entrance is, down on that end, there is one of those offices that's never used by any staff or any teachers. It's used for referees later that day. So we do have them in there from 7 to 10 in the morning, and students are never in that area. It does get disinfected every Monday and Thursday after they leave by Travis, and the referees are not in there till 5 o'clock. So that was really the only area that we felt would work because we don't want sick people coming in where other people are in the school. I have a feeling that some of the people are here because of the River Ridge changes. So I want to give everybody an update on those River Ridge changes. The school district of River Ridge, I believe it was last Wednesday, voted to not accept Grant County health orders. And they haven't had any cases since then. So I'm not sure how that's going to go. And we're all curious about what's going to happen and what's going to come from that. Their legal counsel stated that the way it was worded, the order that they received, would provide probable doubt on its merit. Their insurance company believed it was a legal order, and although they would defend them if a suit was brought, they did advise them that they probably wouldn't win that case. So Grant County schools are all watching to see what comes of this. It could be the next order is more clearly written, and their legal counsel would suggest that they recognize it, or that may not happen. If not, I believe many schools in the county will incorporate River Ridge's plan, which basically they took from Minter Point. And if you remember back in August, I shared what Minter Point's plan was. Basically, their version of quarantining kids is if you're identified as a close contact, you will be in school with a mask. That's how they do that. WIA still says that any athlete who is a close contact will have to sit out for 7 days, get a PCR test on day 6 or 7, and they could be back on day 8. Grant County does not let our athletes do that, but the Minter Point plan and now River Ridge, as of last week, is planning on incorporating that. So this week, a couple of things when I've talked with our insurance rep and our legal counsel. Tricor, the insurance company, believed that they were misquoted in the newspaper because our linebacker policy, and they have Tricor as well, clearly states if we knowingly and purposely violate a legal enforceable state, federal law or mandate, they will not cover us. Tricor thinks that these are legally enforceable, but when we talk to our legal counsel, this is where there's some difference. It has to be a legally enforceable mandate. There is some question now where a month ago, there wasn't a question. There are some attorneys that are saying, not sure this is a legally enforceable order. Within Boardman and Clark, who we use, different attorneys are viewing it differently, which makes it really hard for all of us when our legal counsel is one saying it's kind of wishy-washy and one person says, no, it's a hard set rule. So again, the interest, and we're all interested to see what happens in River Ridge. Once River Ridge has a case, I think we'll all be watching. I know some Lancasters voting on whether they're going to accept that tonight. River Ridge, we did find out today, 2 minutes before the meeting started, that they are now masked. So I'm not
For
sure
after-school events.
for after school events, and not
Everybody
sure
who
about that
comes
during
in
the
the
school
building.
day. So we're interested to see what happens. Our legal counsel at Boardman and Clark, even though two people were interpreting it differently, their suggestion was that we wait and see what happens, because when River Ridge has a case and they'll have a case, we don't know how the county is going to respond. And so that was their suggestion. And same as EMC. I think a lot of schools are really interested to see what happens. River Ridge was also not sure about how other schools will take that news of disobeying a county health order as far as athletics. They weren't sure if all their teams would play them or not. The WIA has stated that the home school gets to determine what those recommendations are. And I know that was a concern of River Ridge, and, are there some teams going to say they're not going to play us or not, because they're going against that. So that's kind of an update there. Please remember, we went to mass to keep kids in school based on the rules of the county. This has worked. It's greatly reduced the number of kids missing out of in-person instruction. It has not taken away, but it has greatly reduced it. However, with our local data showing less than 2% of our students contract the virus without masks versus 0% of the students contracting the virus with masks, if quarantine orders do allow students to make that, or schools to make that decision about quarantine, I think at that point, once we get that suggestion, we're probably going to want to meet again and look at our matrix and look at how we want to do that. If we do have the ability to make decisions outside of what Jeff Kindred tells us that we can do. So I know that we have a lot of people here. We've got about 10 here to sign up. And so, and they're all COVID and COVID or mask. And so we'll call each person one at a time. We do have, for those of you who haven't been here before, you get 3 minutes. We'll just start a timer when it goes off at 3 minutes. That goes on, we move on to the next person. If I do call your name and you think, oh, somebody else has already said my point, feel free to say, I'm not going to repeat myself, but I'm just here to back what Molly said or whatever that is. That's fine. But when you hear the buzzer, we're going to cut you up. We have a lot of people signed in to speak, so it is 3 minutes based on board policy. The other thing to know, just our policy states, if you guys ask questions, our board is not allowed to respond. So if you do have questions and you want those answers, I'll probably call you tomorrow. That would be where you get those questions. But this is a time for you guys to share your thoughts, your opinions, and your wishes as constituents. So in other districts, I know that some of these have been very heated. Looking out in the audience, I believe that all of you have the best intentions in mind. All of us are advocating for kids. We may see it from different lens, but I really do believe that everybody here is advocating for kids tonight. So let's keep that in mind, and everybody have an open mind and be good listeners. Okay. So our first up is Molly Lucy.
Thanks. So thanks for giving me 3 minutes tonight, Aaron. And thanks again for everyone's attention to everything, because I know every month more things come up. What I really wanted to address was, I sat in these meetings in August and September, and one of my things was, we are a school and our main point is to educate, right? So when we start talking about this testing on site, I think, Aaron, you saw me go, oh my goodness, why are we doing that, right? And then Gary, you assured me, would it make you feel better if they're not in school, right? And I said, not great, but better. And now those cases that could be potentials are in our school hallways. And they are down in the hallway where I have seen video evidence of the people waiting to get tested are standing in the hallway, and our kids walk around those kids to go to the locker rooms. So I know we can address it and say, oh, we're going to, but why is that in school? We are not a health clinic. There is medical associates right up the street. So I am very concerned, and this is where I was this summer in August and September when I was not a fan of bringing testing into the school site. And I was assured it was out. It's not going to be associated. Well, now we have local community members, could be from anywhere, coming into our school, and they could be positive cases. When we have kids that we're trying to keep away from getting COVID, but now it could be right there when a kid walks right by them and they might not have a mask on. So I just want to reiterate, that was very disappointing to me when I saw that came into school. And Aaron, you gave a little flavor for the machines or they're testing things, they can't be out in the cold. But that's where I say we're a school. We're here to educate. We're not here to be a health clinic. And I'm very, like I said, it makes me, we're doing everything we can to put this behind our kids. We need to. This is year three of this. I feel like I should have did more last year to keep pushing this issue with you guys because, again, I don't want to see things happen when we know kids, if we look at the stats, the kids, they may have positive cases, but they're getting through it. They might have a cold. We're not having the sickness. And the people around you in your community that you need to look out for, they've been vaccinated. They might have had the booster by now. So we need to look at the kids and focus on our education and get the kids back to a normal. And so I just really want to address that I hope we look at what as us as a school board need to do for our kids. Like you said, that's what we're here for. And I really want to get things back to normal for them. I really think we need to. Deb, you mentioned some of this. I truly believe, you know what? If they're contact traced and they're quarantined, they're going over where everybody else is anyway. I mean, yes, it's not on school grounds, but it's still happening because these kids need the social aspect because they're suffering from the school, not being in school, being in the quarantine. So I really think Jeff K can provide guidance, but to me, we really need to think about guidance versus what we decide is the best for our school and our students. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, up next, we have Amy Richard.
Can I skip and go after Gooch?
Sure.
Can we reverse?
If you're both okay with that, that's fine. Gooch, go ahead.
I've always been leading there. So I did give everybody a handout in between meetings. I just want to touch upon some things real quick, like you guys talk to your attorneys. I've been talking to attorneys, talking to state representatives. You'll see my email reference from Howard Markline. He makes it very clear. The state DHS gives recommendations to the county. Very clear recommendations. Each county government, municipal government, school board is able to consider local data to determine how to best move forward. Strictly recommendations with DHS. You as a school board hold the ultimate power. State law statute 120.12, school boards have the final authority on running a school. Jeff K has no authority on telling you people how to run your school. He may think he does. He's been told by been with the county attorney, he doesn't have that authority. Skip down here a little bit. 3 minutes isn't much time. The Supreme Court decision, James versus Henrik, July 21st, basically says nowhere in statute 252.03 does it give the health director the ability to deny access to any school building or any school activities to students. Health director does not have that power to do so. Next page, on the back page, I'll flip to state statute 118.13. We talked about vaccinated versus unvaccinated and treating kids differently. It's very clear in the statute 118.13 that kids cannot be denied going to school. They can't be denied extracurriculars based upon religious determinations. And that pretty much covers the vaccinated versus unvaccinated. Basically, a lot of school districts, quarantine policies do discriminate against students and staff based upon statute 118.13. Quote from a senior staff attorney, Steve McCarthy, basically says the school board has the authority to do what the school board wants to do for this on district properties. As far as liability concerns, in January of 2021, and that's on the back page, the 2021 Wisconsin Act 4 Senate bill that I attached provides immunity for entities from a civil liability from COVID-19. And it's right there on the third page, immunity from civil liability. So I guess I always hear about, well, the state and county say we have to do it this way. I guess the attorneys that I talk to look at it a different way and say that you as a school district don't have the right to deny kids an education. And if my kid gets COVID, I can't come back and sue you as a school district because you got COVID here. So I just want to hit upon some of the legislative stuff. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Amy?
All right, mine kind of leads into kind of what Gooch presented there, but we are really asking for the school board to take the lead, to stand up for our children, because you are the ones to certainly do that. You have all the power in the world here, and we're sitting back on our laurels, and we're sitting back and allowing someone else to lead us, and that's not Cuba City. That's not what we teach our kids. We don't teach our kids to always follow, but we're not being a leader in this aspect, and that is very surprising to me. And because we have, as you can see in all these documents, we have that power. You have that legality. If you're not abiding by something you put in place, yes, Jeff can come back on you. But you make the rule, you put it in place, and we follow that rule. And it doesn't have to be what Jeff is recommending. As you can see by, like I said, all the things that the different attorneys we've been talking to obviously different governmental leaders. That's all we're asking, is that this school board steps up and leads and comes up with our own plan moving forward. That's it.
Thank you. All right. Brooklyn?
Hello. So, pretty much what I want to say is the same thing. I had an entire speech planned out, but after listening to some of the things, it seems like everybody has the same concerns. Also, I would also like to reiterate what you're teaching the children. My daughter is 4 years old, and she came home the other day and said to me that, Mom, I have to wear a mask because if I forget to cough in my elbow, I could get my friend sick. You should not be teaching a 4-year-old child that if they don't wear a mask, they're going to get their friend sick. You are guilt-tripping students into wearing masks. My daughter does not need to worry about her friend's health. She needs to worry about her own. And that's another thing that this whole mask mandate is doing to children. It's harming them emotionally, psychologically. My children hate coming to school because they do not want to wear masks. They hate it. They complain every morning that they have to get on the bus. They come off the bus, the first thing they do is rip the mask off and throw it to the ground. They absolutely hate it. You need to listen to students. What do students want? What do they need? They need education. They don't need to sit there and worry about this pandemic. That's our job, not theirs. And I mean, if you read this, it says right here, it's recommendations from the Grant County Health Department, not law. It's a recommendation. It's up to you guys to decide what happens to our students. And I hope you do the right thing.
Thank you, bro. Okay, Roxy.
Hi, thanks. Just real quick, want to reiterate what Brooke said about the kids getting guilted into wearing their mask. I'm gonna pass it on. I get too much.
So the concern is with wearing a mask, the mask is controversial anyways. So our concern is the punishment or repercussions that the kids are getting for not wearing a mask. Yesterday, Will was told from a friend of his who was in National Honor Society that there were kids that were denied this year because of how they wear their masks. They're not covering their nose all the time. Today, Will was in passing. My son is Will Bush. I'm Jeff Bush. In front of this commons area, and he had his mask below his nose. And the teacher told him, that's why you didn't get a National Honor Society. Now, Will's got a 3-point GPA. He takes a lot of pride in his grade and his class rank. He was invited into the National Honor Society, and then to be told you're not getting in because of how you wear a mask is just not right. The junior class this year, what they've had to go through the last 2 years with all the diversity of quarantine, homeschool, and they were able to maintain their 3.8 or 3.6 minimum grade point average to get in. Nobody should have been denied this year. There should be enough in their character and their leadership that they maintain their grade point average, that they shouldn't need to be judged or points deducted because of how they wear their mask. That's not right. And I'm not a parent that'll come in here and demand my kid deserves the best and he deserves National Honor Society. Will works for everything and he earns everything he gets. But when things aren't right, it's not right. And he went to the teacher and tried to talk and didn't get anywhere. And if that's true, no kids should be getting reprimanded or any points deducted for how they wear their mask. Done.
All right, thanks. Do you want to add anything, Lexi? or-
No.
Okay.
Just what he said.
Okay,
I second.
Brenda.
I got 3 points. I'm glad Deb brought up the social emotional as well. I've been in public education for 22 years, and what we went through this school year is, I mean, any of my friends or family will know, it is absolutely killing staff because the kids are bringing in issues that we didn't even know would exist. And it is directly connected to our sub shortage because subs don't want to come in because it's tough. It is tough to be in a building. We are facing it times 20. I'm in a big district, big school. So teachers are then working during their preps to sub because the subs aren't coming in because our kids are going through all this. Okay, didn't even know I was going to bring that one up, but since she brought that up, I thought that was worth saying. I'm vehemently opposed to have the testing in building. I wasn't at the initial meeting, so I don't even know what the positives were, but I see zero positives. And my child absolutely has been in contact with those people, not intentionally, but going to the locker room. She came home immediately and was very, very upset that she had to come near anyone that was testing. She's the one coming, she should be sitting here. She was the one that was upset. She couldn't believe it. She said, why would I ever want to be exposed to anybody that's coming into our school to be testing? And I didn't have the answer for her. That was tough. And the third thing, I brought up the last meeting I was here and it kind of died. I was here to oppose wearing masks in school because I still very strongly feel that way. But the exemptions, how I can get her one. I don't want her wearing a mask at school. And if there are exemptions set up, I'm in a building where we are now wearing masks because our rate has went above the number. And every day I'm dealing with families and we're helping them fill out the exemption forms. And I want to know what Cuba City has for that. And if you need assistance, you can look at ours to figure out what. There's many different facets to it, but it's very simple to get an exemption for your child. And I want to know what the parameters are that I need to do if we're still wearing masks. That's it. Thanks.
Sure. I'm probably just going to double up on some other things, so hopefully it won't be so long. The testing, questioned Tori a couple of times. She said yes, it was true. She walked by people, and there were older people in the community that didn't have a mask on. Some of them. So 7:30 to 3:30, whatever our rule is, I thought it was everybody in the building. So that, I questioned her, but then I did believe her because I heard it from other sources that they were close enough contact with these people waiting in line to be tested. I totally disagree with that. I don't think we should be in the testing game at all either. So, and the other thing is, I think we do need to be leaders, follow River Ridge. Let's go, everybody follow them, and let's come up with our own plan, one that we think would work. And I think as a school board, and not necessarily you, Aaron, but as a school board, that's what we need to do. I mean, it's ultimately the board's decision, and let's come up with a plan that will work. I could go through lots of plans, but the one would be, kid has COVID, yeah, you contact trace the same way you do. Let the parents decide if their kids want to come to school or not. If you want to stay out the 2 weeks, that's your decision. So my kid that maybe was in contact, we can see if they ever come down with COVID, or if my daughter's vaccinated, she should be, which she could anyway, I guess, but she's vaccinated, she should be able to stay. Or if my kid's not vaccinated and the parents say you can go in school, we'll watch you for symptoms. That's, I think, what we should do. Contact trace all you want. The child that has it should be out, and then we still get a hold of the same people. It's the same email. It's the same work being done. We just don't send all these kids home. So that's really about all I have.
And that's how we're doing it in Butte.
Amanda?
Yeah, I think one of the things that really stands out to me is that it feels like we're not working with the right attorney. I work with attorneys in my job all the time. If they ever came to me and said, take the wait and see approach, I would not accept that. We have decisions to make. We can't lead with fear. And that's what we're doing. We're leading this whole thing in fear. So if we don't have the right attorneys involved, willing to step up and defend us on this, if there ever were to be a problem, then we're working with the wrong attorneys. I think Gooch has made some really good points about some other attorneys that have taken a different stance on this, and it's worthwhile. We need to hear what they have to say, and we need to go above and beyond to do our homework here. And the fact that the attorneys are telling us to take the wait and see approach tells me they haven't done their homework on this. And to me, I would turn around and walk a different direction. We have a right to know. We have children here. I have a right to have my children in school. I have a right to make that decision and have a say in that. And, you know, I struggle with the fact that we're not willing to step up. Like Amy said, we're Cuba City. We're a strong community. We come together, we work together. We need to do something about this. And sometimes that requires us to be in a position where we're ahead of the other people, but we're willing to do that because it's what we believe in. I think that was, besides what everyone else has said, I'm a strong believer in that. I agree with what Brenda had said about the masks. I should also have a right to say if my child wears a mask. And when the kids leave our school, they're not wearing masks. They're hanging out together. They're together and closer together than they are at school. So let's not be naive here and make decisions that aren't practical. I think we all know that what this is, how it's developing, and we eventually have to get our lives back to normal. And sometimes it requires us to take a step, and sometimes we're not comfortable, 100% comfortable with that. But we have a feeling that there's something that we can do here about this. And I think the more homework we do, we're going to find that we'll be able to get someone to support us and back us on this. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
All right, we've got one more. I'm sorry, I can't see. You're good? Okay.
Yep, everything they said, they're
Good. And when you came in late,
I did.
Did you want me to put you on here?
How about that?
Okay.
Thank you.
Gooch can have my 3 minutes.
Thank you.
Did anyone else come in late, by the way, that wanted to be on this list?
I did.
There was a couple.
Okay, Joe, okay.
So I had an idea of what was going to be said. So when Steve and he can't be here, we thought we would just go back to the basics. And we're at the basics here. First, thank you all. Thank you. What a couple years. We appreciate you even offering to be up there. But we would like you to consider, not long ago, just recently, 700 people packed St. Rose Church, shoulder to shoulder, standing room only, confirmation of service of 93 high schoolers. No masking was mandated. There's no contact tracing. Hundreds of fans packed Cuba City bleachers for volleyball tournaments and schools all over the place. No masking, well, maybe Pueblo, but no contact tracing. 80,000 fans are in Madison watching football games, cheering, screaming, yelling, right next to each other, shoulder to shoulder. There's no contact tracing. There's no contact tracing in churches, at athletic events, at grocery stores, at Walmarts, not even at the hospitals where people go to get sick, where people go when they're sick. It is an obvious inconsistency that virtually all Grant County citizens are free of contact tracing unless they're between the ages of 4 and 18, between the times of 8 and 3:15 p.m. It is wonderful that Grant County has a health director to offer guidance to parents who seek it. However, in this third school year of COVID protocols, we respectfully say not all parents want or need this help anymore. We ask you to please represent us, allow us, the parents, to be parents and make decisions for our own children. To continue to, allowing the non-elected public health employee To continue making decisions for other people's children 3 school years in a row is terribly myopic. There's much more to parenting than COVID-19. We are the parents, and we ask as such that we are the decision makers of our family. In closing, we implore you to see the shortcomings of the policy of Grant County. They continue to treat the least affected demographic with the heaviest punishment. They continue to disregard the social, mental, and emotional health of children while claiming the policies are for maintaining health. Yet they never talk about health, ever. It is time to recognize the hypocrisy and take a stand. Thank you.
Thank you. Joe?
I'll be pretty short and sweet. Kind of glad I'm here at 7:21 at night because COVID's only in the school from 7:30 to 3:30. What's Kindra going to say about all us right now? What's the lawyer going to say if Gooch gave me COVID? Here, right now. That's it. It's just time to move on.
Thank you, Joe.
Yep.
Thank you, everybody, for coming, expressing your opinions. At this point, we will consider what you said. We will, seriously take your comments. Obviously, this is uncharted territory, period. Our action to date, we thought or hoped was going to be appropriate, or it was going to be an improvement from last school year. The plan that Aaron had presented, I think, was an improvement. Obviously, given, the way the game was being played, it resulted in an awful lot of quarantines and, kids missing anything and everything. And obviously, we're all full aware that even a year ago, that if kids wore masks, they didn't wear them after they left school. And you'd see 10 kids on the street corner, and we know that. Sadly, COVID hasn't gone away. Sadly, even as I speak, yesterday, Wisconsin recorded the most COVID cases since December of last year. Having come from a health background, I know what viruses are and can do, and we've killed an awful lot of people. And so, in terms of trying to be hesitant, it isn't necessarily the kids that are going to get sick or die. It's more grandma and grandpa. And obviously, even hearing today, UW-Platteville was the only college that did not reach the prescribed 70% vaccination rate to take part in some contest. So basically, our whole geographic area here, Grant County, we don't believe in vaccinations, which personally probably is sort of a surprise, because if you don't believe in COVID vaccine, you don't believe in influenza, et cetera. I mean, we're obviously having measles, mumps, and everything resurface that were supposedly gone because we didn't vaccinate. But at any rate, my 3 cents, and we will move on. Thank you.
Just wanted to let everybody know there are no action items for this tonight. So we're gonna have a discussion, but just to let everybody know there's no action that we're taking tonight. So I'll open that up. So board members, if you have questions about anything that I said or anything that you want to bring up after listening to our constituents. By the way, thank you all for respectfully sharing your opinion. I don't think we can solve a lot of the problems that we have right now if we don't listen. So I appreciate that everybody was respectful, and I hope that that we have a board that does listen. And so thank you for being respectful, and thank you for being good listeners. So thank you all.
So in case you don't know, and what Aaron had said is, unless it's printed, we're going to discuss masking. We're going to discuss quarantine. We can't take any action on it. So we can't just say, oh, okay, well, we'd agree to, stop masking, all those in favor. We can't do that unless it's actually a published agenda item. So, okay. So it's not the fact we're just gonna blow you off and not truly talk about it. All right,
Even though it's not an action item, I do think that we should have a discussion about possible changes that we can make. I know we started the school year maskless and people were sending their kids to school and we were getting along fine. I feel like we put masks back in place so kids could come to school and so kids could participate. But I feel like we're just playing the game to a couple points. We're wearing masks from 7:30 to 3:30. I know that all the kids are together outside of school. And there's a lot of good points that were made. I guess our goal is always to keep kids in school. I have a lot of questions about a lot of the attorney's advice, and maybe we, to Amanda's point, do we have the option to, talk to a different attorney if they have different opinions? I don't know. Can we question some of these points that Gooch brings from other attorneys? Like, can we ask more questions of different people? And maybe we'll get different answers, but I guess I'm ready to make some changes. COVID's not going away. I send my kids to school in masks because I want them to be in school and I want them to be able to participate. So I guess those are a couple of things I would like to see us do, is talk more about making changes to get back to quote normal. Maybe talk to some different attorneys, look into, will other schools play us when we do have activities? I don't want to go willy-nilly and then we have no activities because no other schools are willing to play. But Aaron, I know you have relationships with other people in our conference.
And River Ridge really is using the Minter Point plan, so I'm hopeful that if teams will play Minter Point, they should play River Ridge. The only difference is they're going against local county health guidance, but Iowa County and Lafayette County is less than a mile away, and they get to choose whatever they want to do. Iowa County is just a few miles away. So really what Minter, and for those of you who don't know what the Minter Point plan is, they basically said no school-wide masking, but if you wear a mask, and let's say I'm sitting by Brad, if I wear a mask, then I use 3 feet for contact tracing for me. So let's say I'm an athlete and I don't want to miss a game. I can put a mask on, and throughout most of the day, if you're in high school, if you're middle school or high school, even middle school, if you wear a mask, you're not going to be within 3 feet of anybody, so you would not have to be quarantined. If I don't wear a mask and you don't wear a mask and you're positive, then it's 6 feet. That's what Minter Point has. But if you get it and I'm a close contact, they say you can quarantine at school. What that means is you wear a mask and you have to stay more than 3 feet away from everybody. That's doable. 3 feet is doable. 6 feet is impossible at schools. We just can't. There's enough teachers in here. 6 feet we can't do. 3 feet we can manage. So that was the plan that we really wanted to do, back in August. And again, we were told that we're not, and we do want to get to the bottom of whether we can't do this, whether we can really make our own plan or not. But that's kind of the gist of that. Pretty much the WIA has said any athlete who's identified as a close contact cannot participate until day 8 with a negative PCR test on 6 or 7. So those are kind of the gist of what the Minter Point plan is, and River Ridge is basically what it's got.
So I guess my point is, I feel like we're doing everything we're doing because we're playing a game, and I feel like taking my ball and going home. What can we do to feel comfortable with the legal ramifications? And I guess that's another question, and you may not know the answer. What is the ramification if there's an order and it's not followed? Is it just like start following it, or is it?
That's what we're
We don't
anxious
know.
to see. What the ramifications of that are. The county has not responded to River Ridge. River Ridge said this is what we're going to do. They were expecting to hear back from him about, this is why you can or can't. It's been totally silent. So don't know. We meet as county superintendents every other week, so we'll meet on Tuesday. And hopefully we get some answers there, because I think a lot of the school districts are thinking along the same lines as River Ridge.
So am I correct in saying the county board doesn't even back Kindred?
I think some people probably in the audience probably have a better idea of that since I've never been to.
Because didn't they try to vote it out? Vote him out of saying that mandate?
Well, he is being supported by the county board in terms of what they brought up. Because, more people, were in support of him than weren't. But at this point, it's, it's
I thought they
changing,
tried to take
everything's
that power away
changing
from
from day to day.
Right.
Basically at this point, from what Aaron said, it seems like the River Ridge thing is now between attorneys who can't even agree. So,
And those the attorneys that we have, Eileen is our local representative, Boardman and Clark. Boardman and Clark is generally regarded as the best education firm. And Lori is their top lawyer, Lori Levinsky, who we worked with before. That's the one who said, no, that's legally binding. And then Brian Goodman, who is kind of the second off Lori, as when we need an educational ruling, Lori and Brian Goodman are the two people that we go to. Those two at the top educational law firm in Wisconsin are not agreeing and seeing eye to eye. So that's just where we are.
Brad, any comment, question?
I guess what legal ramification do we face if, say, we go away from everything and someone gets COVID and then some parent comes back at us? I mean, that's, I guess, a little extreme.
Yeah, what they would have to do is prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that they got it here based on the fact that we went against the order. I think that would be really difficult to prove.
And our insurance company. Okay, sorry, I'm thinking through this. Because the insurance company is if it's legally enforceable, we're not covering
And the
it.
term legally
But
enforceable is what's
what's
in limbo
currently-
right now.
Okay. Do we know with River Ridge, we just pushed our contact tracing back to the county to take that off of our administrative team. Does River Ridge also take that to the county? Does that change if we say, hey, we're not following your orders, just call us if you need us? Do they still
I
do
don't know.
contact tracing for us?
I'm not sure who does the contact tracing for
Okay.
Rich.
Aaron, is it possible that with regard to the in-house now testing, is it possible it could be drive up? And their instrument stays.
What I wrote down
in the
is-
building, but no person tested enters the building.
I wonder if we could clear out one of our building and grounds garages. I don't know if that would be warm enough because they're not heated.
Well, but the drive-up testing is what has been used, nationwide.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
And so I'm just thinking that, basically, they don't get out of their car. This person that's collecting the specimen that's the only thing they need. I would think that would have solved the bringing anybody in the building.
About that.
If you could ask, please.
If we're able to do drive-up testing, and that's something we do, I would send that in a bright arrow as a reminder or as an update, so you guys will know that.
And how much testing is being done with students, I guess? How many students are using it opposed to community members?
It depends. Sometimes you go down there and there's nobody there for half an hour, and then other times you go down there and there's 12 people that all within 5 minutes. So it's really hard to know that.
I mean, is it being utilized by more of our students or more of a community?
And they don't give us that data. They just give us, all we get are the positives of our students. So.
Okay. I guess how many positives of our students have come from that testing?
Pam, I don't think there's any way for us to know because a lot of people will take if they have a younger kid under 3, they'll take them to the physician. And sometimes even though we offer it free here, they want to go to the physician. And we don't track that at all, do we?
We don't track it. They just send us files a couple times a day, and they could be all the same people from the morning to the afternoon.
Yeah. So I guess I don't know, of the 43 positive cases that we've had, I don't know how many were a result of testing here versus somewhere else.
And we don't know how many avoided quarantine because we haven't on site either, right? Do you know what I mean? Like negative tests we got back from having that.
Those are daily.
Yeah, that happens.
That happens
often.
daily.
And honestly, it's nice to keep those kids under the roof.
A lot of kids are in school sooner because we they're able to test with it.
Do we have any financial benefit to the testing? Holding
No,
them
we
in here?
we don't have any benefit nor liability.
Would it be feasible to use a space in the community that's not at school?
I'm sorry, Deb, I couldn't hear you.
Like, we had used space at a church, at the VFW, at the city hall in the past for different things that we needed. Would it be possible for them to utilize one of those spaces?
Yeah, like the church, when
Yeah,
we
or
used the church,
VFW.
we always rented that, but
Mhm.
something we can look into.
Chuck? We're good.
Nothing else? Okay. We're gonna stick around and talk a lot about kitchen and ovens and food prices. If you guys wanna stick around, you're more than welcome. But otherwise, thank you all for coming and respectfully joining the conversation. We appreciate all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure.
New business, A has approved the increase in adult breakfast and lunch prices to meet SFA minimum standards.
Yep, so basically, once every few years, Janet gets an email that says you're gonna have to raise your lunch prices to at least this much. We've always had the least that we can charge for adult prices, but now we have to raise them again, and Janet said last time that did not go over well, so she's a little nervous about that, but it's not Janet's fault. You know, that's, if we wanna keep providing school lunches at school and have all of our students eating for free, we have to follow the SFA rules, and they're saying we've got to raise breakfast and lunch to a minimum standard, so that we're not going 1 cent over the minimum standard, but that's what we have.
Any questions? The price, Aaron, increase is?
Yep, that price, go for breakfast, is
$2.56.
$2.56, and the price for lunch now is $4.65.
So it went up like 25 cents for breakfast and
26 cents for lunch and
60 cents for lunch.
Oh, six.
Plus 20,
Yeah.
21 for
60 cents.
breakfast.
And 21 cents. Yep, I was looking at the green stuff, but that just shows what the normal price is.
any questions? If none, would someone move?
I'll move to approve. Oh, go ahead.
No, it's all yours.
I'll move to approve the adult breakfast and lunch prices to meet SFA minimum standards beginning December 1st, 2021.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
White.
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
Schrader. Hinderman, yes. Pohl.
Yes.
Bowden.
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item B, approve the purchase of a new convection oven for the elementary school.
Janet, do you want to talk a little bit about this one? We've been nursing that for a long time, and I think we've gotten as much as we can out of it. But
I
Janet said,
looked it up.
Aaron, it's time to pull the trigger.
I looked it up today, it's from 1994, so it's just about 27 years old, so I think it's time.
And this will come out of Janet's 150 account, and there is room to purchase that.
If there's no question, would someone move, please?
I'll move to approve the purchase of a new convection oven for Cuba City Elementary School as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second. White.
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Pohl.
Yes.
Bowden.
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item C, approve the overnight trip for the high school boys basketball team, November 26th to the Dells.
Yep, so this is something that got on the schedule. It's a week, a Thanksgiving tournament, and the boys basketball club would like to stay overnight. Anytime any groups stay overnight, we have to take that to the board. So it's at the Dells. At which hotel is it? Coach?
Chula Vista.
At Chula Vista, and at no cost to the district because it's paid through the basketball fundraising.
If there's no question, would someone move?
Is this GV and varsity both?
This one is, yes.
Yep. That's good.
I would move to approve the overnight trip for CCHS boys basketball team November 26th in Wisconsin Dells.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
White.
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Poole.
Yes.
Bowden.
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item 8, Personnel A, is approve the retirement of Mrs. Laura Wilberding effective June 2nd, or 6th, I'm sorry. Laura, you're not gonna really do it, are you?
She'd probably take second if you guys are first.
Laura has been with us, how many years, Laura? 33?
35.
35 years. You've been a wonderful addition, and
To be missed.
she will be very much missed. Usually we put resignations in the consent agenda, but for retirement of teachers, we want to make that an action item. So if anybody wants to make a motion. We will have Laura back in May when we recognize all the people who are retiring. We don't know everybody right now, like she gave us our letter early, but in May we will invite her back. Laura, will you come back?
Sure.
Okay.
On behalf of the school board, I move to approve the retirement of Mrs. Laura Wilberding. And thank you for your 35 years of service, and I wish you well, effective June 6, 2022.
I would second.
White.
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Poole.
Yes.
Bowden.
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item B is approve the hiring of the Cuba City High School JV boys basketball coach, Steve Kaiser.
Yep, Coach Kaiser has been the freshman coach for a number of years with Coach Pettigrew, and when Mr. Gerby accepted the head girls job, and Steve applied for the JV job, and just moving him up that spot.
If there's no question, would someone move?
Is he the only candidate to apply
Yes,
for it?
he was.
All right.
I'll move to approve the hiring of Mr. Steve Kaiser as a CCHS JV boys basketball coach as presented.
Is there a second?
I will second. White.
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Poole.
No.
Bowden.
Abstain.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item C, approve Ellen Olson as a volunteer high school girls basketball coach.
I'm pretty sure she has a daughter that's in that program now. So she has never been a volunteer coach. So our policy here is whenever anybody wants to be a volunteer, it's always approved by the board at that next board meeting. So Coach Derby and Ms. Lawson and myself would all recommend.
If there's no questions, would someone move?
I'll move to approve Ellen Olson as volunteer CCHS girls basketball coach as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
White.
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Poole.
Yes.
Bowden.
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Committee reports, budget and finance.
Yeah.
Don't know that there's anything.
Nothing scheduled soon.
Building and grounds.
Nothing scheduled, is there?
Communications review and strategic planning.
We're all kind of doing that at our special board meetings at 5:30.
Yeah, I think we might have covered some of that.
Yep.
Curriculum, instruction, and assessment.
We get those every month now. So we'll meet again in the summer to go through what the next year is, but that's what we'll have those kind of presentations.
Personnel, we met November 3rd, and their next time is December 1st.
And that's going to be kind of the main committee that meets most of this year. That's what we're going to focus at, trying to come up with an alternative compensation platform that is reliable, consistent, meets a couple goals that we came up with.
And we've been using the
steps and lanes.
We've been using a step and lane model
Without steps and
for
lanes.
decades. And it was pre-Act 10 step and lanes, and we're, potentially gonna try and see if we can't come up with something that's, different or sustainable. Policy, you met October 13th.
Yep, we usually meet 2 or 3 times a year to put new policy in.
Technology, transportation, any issues, Dan?
No issues.
Foundation, you won't meet till January.
We'll meet in January.
Is CISA 3 rep have anything other than they continue to try and train people for substitute teaching. I saw the ad in the paper again, so. Other than that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I mean, do we need to trace this at all? I mean, do we address the mask and close contact tracing? I mean, after we find out what happens with River Ridge and Lancaster, obviously they're voting on it tonight.
Right.
Lancaster is what they're gonna do, and sounds like they're gonna follow what River Ridge does. So I don't know, is that something we bring up before the next board meeting or schedule it for the next board meeting, or I'm just throwing it out there.
My suggestion would be as soon as we know what is going on, whether they can or cannot
Sure.
do that, then the next Wednesday we meet.
Yeah,
whenever-
no,
whenever that
that's-
is.
yeah.
If something happens next week and we think we're getting feedback like, oh, you don't have to do this, you can do this. I don't want to wait till December
Right,
16th. I'd rather
Absolutely.
it was the next Wednesday.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
That sounds good, but I agree with looking at maybe other lawyers, but don't find a lawyer that's gonna tell you what you want to hear. You know, gotta find somebody that knows what they're doing.
I'm pretty sure the two lawyers that I'm hearing from are the two top education
Right.
lawyers in Wisconsin. That's the hard, I understand.
And they're conflicting.
If they can.
And they
They're
are,
conflicting.
yes.
So where does Eileen fall in the equation since she's?
Eileen says the way the last order was written, she didn't think it met that level. Then but she also recognizes he may just write it different next time. He might do a better job of writing it next time. So she was looking just at that order and said this one, it would not hold up.
So I guess in terms of addressing, probably what all of us want to do is look at, where we're gonna go from here. So can you maybe give some thoughts to a kind of a blueprint of what, that might be? Because obviously, if it's talking to Eileen or our insurance, carrier, and or with respect to what the other Grant County school districts are going to do or will do.
Next Tuesday is our next Grant County District Administrator meeting, so I think we'll have a better idea then. As far as the insurance company and the attorneys, Pam, we got their response, we talked with them today, and I called Pam back and I'm like, I'm really confused by this, because in one paragraph he's saying this, and the next paragraph he's saying the exact opposite. That was pretty much it.
Don't tell them to stop speaking lawyer language, I guess.
Well, and I guess that's a good point, because our attorney says one thing. If we do go ahead and make changes and get an order and, we get into quote trouble, there's another attorney that is going to defend us. There's so many on different sides of it, I guess. And there's no clarity around any of this.
Well,
Once
if that would
River Ridge-
happen, we're gonna be at least third in line for them to go after.
Right.
That's a very good point.
We could respond quicker than what they probably.
Change things quicker before they
River
get to us,
Ridge
right?
will have a positive, and that will be the test case. And that's what the attorney said, and that's what our insurance company said. And based on that test case, then they'll have a stronger, I hope that they're in more unison.
Well, and again, I don't know that the 10 or 15 people who came tonight are truly representative of the majority. Obviously, if they are, obviously I would think that we need to act.
Remember when we did survey our whole community about masking to have less quarantines? There were 50% of the people who said use the matrix as it's written, 40% who said no, put masks on kids, and there's 10% who said we'll just do whatever, we'll just be compliant. So that's about, that's not the holistic thing.
The majority
but-
are okay with not having masks. I go back to the beginning of the school year when we were maskless. We seem to be okay with that. And the only reason we went back is to get around the quarantine.
Right.
I guess what's our biggest fear of doing the right thing or following River Ridge? I guess that's my question. I guess what's our biggest fear or ramification we could face?
I'm thinking fines at this point, but I don't know the answer to that. That's a good question. But It used to be different. Remember, a while ago, he said that he'd find a school and throw me in jail. And then Ben Wood told him, you'd stop saying that to the superintendent. You can't do that. And the district attorney would never allow it.
Now that we have a vaccine for the younger children, do you think
I think that's
things
another.
will change? Because we've gotten to a point where the vaccine was out for the adults and then out for kids over 12. And we decided that, okay, you've had your chance, you're either gonna get it or not, and now we need to just move forward. So do you think there will be a point now with the younger students that they'll say, okay, you've had your opportunity, those who are not gonna get it are not gonna get it, and we're just going to.
I'll only go off what Jeff thinks the DHS will do. He said that will probably be September of 2022. He said, I don't see a change happening this year. That's his take on it. I would be guessing.
Right, but the only thing, the vaccine in our area is not very well absorbed.
Right, so what that means is the people that are worried about it have access to a vaccine, and the people who aren't worried about it are okay with getting it and recovering. So you're able to look at it and say, okay, this is, if you're worried about it, go get a vaccine. And if you're not, you're okay with getting it, because you believe that the individual risk of that isn't that high for you.
But it'll come to a point where we feel everyone has had that opportunity and a shot has been available. And now.
And that's right after January, you know,
But that probably won't occur if it's September of its next school year. That won't be soon enough potentially for at least this crowd.
Right. And maybe Jeff's overestimated it too. You know, I don't know. That could be fine.
And in your conversation with the other district administrators, do you feel like the majority are on the same page that, not the other administrators, like within our county, I guess I should say?
I would say the majority, which there are 10 schools in Grant County, I would say the majority of the people would like to use Minter-Point's plan, which is what we were just doing. There are some that just say, I won't even bring it up because my board wouldn't approve it, because it's really not about what the superintendents want. It's about what the board will
Right, but they have a
approve.
feeling like with their
Yep,
community.
there are a couple school districts who said that will never fly in my district. You know, we'll stick with this. But I think they're in the minority.
I guess, you know, next Wednesday meeting after your Tuesday meeting is, you know, the night before Thanksgiving.
Anybody want to meet
Want
the
to
night
try
before?
and look at meeting, and if so, when?
What is the Wednesday after Thanksgiving?
First of December. I think, isn't it?
December 1st.
Yeah.
We have a personnel meeting that night. If we want to schedule and just say, well, then we can post it, and we'll just post it as, you know, revisiting the Cuba City matrix, because that's what we'll use.
Is that okay?
Yeah, it gives us a
Give
little
them
time to see what's
2
gonna,
weeks.
what's gonna shake out or whatever.
Here anyway, that'd be perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, you will be. I won't.
Well, we want some company.
Right.
I guess.
December 1st?
When will you post that? I mean, when will it be decided? We're
I'm
gonna
always
decide that
posting.
tonight. Are we deciding right now to have a meeting? Or you're-
That's what I'm hearing.
A lot could change between now and then too.
Yeah, I don't think we need to rush it. I think we just pencil it in right now and see what happens after your meeting. Get to the week after Thanksgiving and we can post it in, and then we'll give us 8 days.
So I think that would be the first date that we'd meet, right?
Yeah.
Wednesday, December 1st.
Possibility.
I don't
Yeah,
think, I don't think you guys
possible
want to.
special meeting would be the first, otherwise.
Yeah.
The
If we're not
Wednesday
ready
before
at that point.
Thanksgiving.
If I don't feel like we're ready at that point, I'll call Gary and we'll talk about that.
I just was,
But a lot could happen in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
well, I mean, 2 weeks ago, you didn't think River Ridge was going to do that either, so.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Everybody have a good Thanksgiving.
Can I just say something real quick?
Sure.
I just got an update from the Fenimore board meeting tonight. Fenimore passed optional masks for high school and middle school because they have an opportunity to be vaccinated. Elementary school go optional on January 3rd after they've all had a chance. If people want to get vaccinated, they can. And Lancaster passed the same similar guidelines. And if you're vaccinated, you do not have to get tested and you do not have to wear a mask if you're a close contact. is what Lancaster passed tonight,
If you're a close contact, you don't have to wear a mask.
or get tested.
That's the first school that I've heard that made that change. Around here anyway. My old school in Lomira up by the valley. That superintendent has never heard of he doesn't know who his health director is. And they just send kids with COVID home.
So, sorry, I have a question about that. So they passed the masks are optional, but does it say anything about following quarantine rules?
Somebody just.
Exactly,
Yeah,
I mean, we can
quarantine's the
go,
biggest thing. Yeah.
right.
Yeah, this is,
Honestly-
I would have to ask this person, it just, literally, she just messaged me right now.
What do you think December 1st?
I think December 1st, I have a little bit better idea what's gonna shake
Now,
out.
can we make changes that night? Can it be worded that way?
Yes, so I think what I'll post on there is, changes or modifications to the Cuba City
Matrix.
COVID matrix. And then I can, based on what we learn, I can have some different options and we'll just select one and plug it right in that matrix and the next day it goes out.
At the risk of being a troublemaker, do you think somebody like Eileen would even be available on the phone?
If we ask Eileen to be available.
I mean, I'm just curious if, because
You can
again,
always go to closed session and call her.
I mean,
I think we'd do that in open session because because we're just having a discussion. We just want to get her legal take on it. So there's no reason to go.
Would we want somebody from Grant County Board here too?
Oh, we certainly could. I'm sure Porter would join us if we had something.
He offered.
Yep.
Right.
I think we can make the decision without the Grant County Board.
No, he was just gonna offer what his thoughts were. His opinion.
I think his opinion is pretty well known.
Is it? I really haven't paid attention to everything.
Yeah, he sounds pretty well known.
Okay, well, thank you guys for being
I
wonderful.
will make the
listeners.
motion
Appreciate
to
it.
adjourn. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right.
All in favor?
All right.
All right, thank you all. Appreciate it.